Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome to a best of 3 series of top level StarCraft 2. What I've got for you today is a match that was played during the very first round, actually as of me casting it, it was played yesterday, the very first round of the second season of this year's GSL Code S, the most prestigious tournament over in South Korea. Now, this is of course an event that's been running for nearly a decade and a half at this point. It's been around since the very early days of StarCraft 2, and historically, this Terran player right over here in the bottom right-hand corner of Oceanborn, he's the most successful player in the GSL, now winning a grand total of 8, which is ridiculous. We're of course looking at none other than Maru's main command center, a player I don't really get to introduce all too often because he only really participates in the biggest events around the globe. Ridiculously good player though, and by many considered to be the GOAT, the greatest player of all time. His opponent, however, a man who I get to introduce even more rarely, but likewise also, yeah, I'm a bit of a fanboy, playing with the red SCVs. We're looking at none other than TY's main command center. Now, in case you haven't seen TY play in a little while either, or maybe this is even the first time you hear of him, he hasn't really been playing a whole lot, but he managed to qualify for the GSL Code S, so he certainly must have some skills, right? So, obviously in my mind though, this is clearly going to be a series where Maru is favored, mostly just because Maru is Maru, right? And this is Terran versus Terran, which is what he's been dominating in for basically a decade now. So in my mind, this is going to be a very significant uphill battle for TY, but there's no denying that a lot of you have reached out and recommended this series to me, so I'm assuming it'll be quite competitive, to say the least. Alrighty, both players opening up with identical build orders so far. It's going to be a single gas, eventually a factory right here as well for TY. Maru going for a little bit of a later factory here for the time being. Yeah, favoring an additional Reaper here. Okay. So anyways, one really cool thing actually about TY is that he is currently both playing StarCraft 2 as well as StarCraft 1 competitively. So StarCraft Brood War, the ASL in particular, he participated in that event very recently. Now Brood War in Korea is absolutely massive, as we do have, okay, nice hiding right there of that first Reaper. Manages to get the very first shot right there on Maru's Reaper. SCVs, though, sacrifice themselves just to be a bit of a meat shield. This is a very delicate dance. You gotta get your micro here, yeah, basically perfectly right, because TVT can be over in a heartbeat. If you make one little mistake, it's so easy to lose. Problem is right here, right? Say, for example, TY loses the Reaper. Second Reaper is gonna arrive in just a moment. There we go. A little bit of over control right there by TY, and Maru immediately looks at that and snatches it. This is what I'm talking about. Look at that. That command center now does not finish. That's like 99% of the way done. I mean, of course, it will finish here eventually. But this is already a nice little advantage right here. That SCV just had to remove the scaffolding. Yeah, that's all that really needed to happen. Anyways, to come back to Brood War for just a little bit, in case you're unfamiliar, in South Korea, StarCraft 2 is not even remotely as popular as StarCraft Brood War. So even though StarCraft Brood War has been around since 1998, it is, well, maybe that's actually the reason, but anyways, it is far more popular over in Korea than StarCraft 2. So the fact that TY is capable of, yeah, playing competitive games for Brood War as well as StarCraft 2 is kind of ridiculous to me in my mind. I don't know how he does it, but it is certainly very cool to see. Obviously though, like the problem in my mind, right, is if you're half committing to 2 games, you know, how can you ever compete against players that are fully committed with just a single match? Then again though, how much effective practice do you really need in order to be really good at these games? A lot of the skills, of course, do overlap as well. Maybe creating a little bit more variety also makes it more fun, right? So, yeah, if you can do some focused practice, maybe it's not that bad. Maybe TY, I don't know. I know a lot of the Brood War players, for example, do a lot of streaming on Afrika as well. Maybe that's what he does. I'm not entirely sure. Anyways, one Hellion, very far in the front here, but he's trying once again, just like that Reaper earlier, trying to hide the units. Grenades are being thrown left, right, and center, though, and this time around, it will be Maru who's forced to retreat. Both players making that transition, by the way, into the Raven. That being said, though, Maru not opting to go for the upgrade yet. So Interference Matrix, very important, of course, in this matchup to try and disable your opponent's siege tanks. But this is an interesting combination right here for Maru. Maru is going for both Stimpack as well as Cyclone production. So he's really looking to get very aggressive here. Main problem is that both Marines as well as Cyclones are very vulnerable. Well, we had a nice little scout over in the main base, but they're very vulnerable to siege tanks. So as soon as TY's siege tank count grows, Maru may just be in a little bit of trouble. Yeah, then again though, never doubt Maru. Yeah, never doubt Maru. That's honestly a good rule in general. Just don't doubt Maru. Usually it'll be okay. I think he actually does create a 2 additional... No, he's gonna add more. Yeah, alright. Opting to go for a siege tankless army here. It's a bold move, Maru. Scan over in the main base also reveals exactly what's going on. Yeah, he sees exactly what's happening here, and he will notice that an SCV was moving on over down towards the 3rd base. Maru, though, already has secured a 3rd command center, as he will be flying his own 3rd CC down towards the low ground. Obviously, the nice advantage of Cyclones is that you can also use them defensively. So, say, for example, TY, who's got a later expansion here, wants to be aggressive. Cyclones can make it very, very difficult for TY to push across the map, right? Because every time that TY is going to take a step, Maru can just, well... take a step in that direction too, because those siege tanks do need a half second or so to siege up. Interference Matrix is going to finish. Stimpack is going to finish too. 1-1 upgrades as well. So this is a very mech-heavy army here in the early game, with a transition towards bio, as we do have the auto turrets just straight up dropping down. Auto turrets, of course, do deal quite a bit of damage. Auto turrets going down left, right, and center. Siege tanks not really capable of sieging up. Ultimately, the firepower here, though, for TY is enough. One thing to note about siege tanks is that unsieged, they actually deal more single target damage than when they are sieged up. This is one of those things that can be a little... That actually kind of blew my mind when I found out about that, like 5 years after I started playing StarCraft. I was like, wait a second, you're actually, yeah, perfectly fine against small numbers of units to use the siege tanks unsieged. And obviously it makes them a lot more microable as well, especially if you have like a medevac or something like that nearby. Alrighty. Ultimately, though, what this all comes down to is that Maru has a better economy, right? And that makes all of this so difficult here. This push for TY needs to get something done. Interference Matrix was researched as well for Maru, so he should be able to shut down the opponent's tanks. But already, though, TY is getting into a really good position. And even though I had my doubts about the man, well, competing in 2 different games, this is looking quite strong. Okay. Yeah, using this as an opportunity. Siege tanks, though, will need to siege up. Is there enough SCVs pulled away as well from their mineral lines? A load of them will get sacrificed. I think ultimately, though, yeah, there should be more than enough for Maru to push all of this back. Those 3 siege tanks not sieged up really bit TY in the butt there. And obviously, he didn't really have much of a buffer for any of those units either. So it was just siege tanks, really. Yeah. Okay. I like that push. I think it had potential. But ultimately, Maru just had way too much stuff. That economical advantage already kicking in. And that's what makes TVT so difficult. It's such a hard matchup to read. You feel like you're behind economically, so you have to get something done, and then you try to get something done, and your army just gets absolutely trashed. It's one of those things that Maru just seems to have an insight in better than anybody else. Game number 2, we find ourselves on the map Alcyone. Now, this particular game right here is actually the reason why I decided to cast this series, because apparently it's amazing. Last time around, I got to see Maru play a macro game of Terran versus Terran. It was against Gumiho. And both of the players in that particular series actually really loved their mass starport style. So a lot of Terran mech and a lot of starports too, where Maru at some point decided to go for a ton of battlecruisers. Now, I will always be a science fiction nerd, and I will never not love big capital ships flying around the map. We don't get to see a lot of battlecruiser play anymore in 2024, but it seems like Maru is very comfortable currently playing that style in TVT, so fingers crossed we're gonna be seeing some of that as well on Alcyone. At least considering a bunch of you reached out, and thank you by the way for that, but a couple of you reached out and mentioned that, Lowko, you should really go ahead and cast this series, because apparently it's a good one. I don't know if it is going to feature battlecruisers, but usually something spicy happens whenever people reach out to me and mention that. I should really go ahead and check it out. Little bit of build order deviation here this time around as Maru decides to go for, well, a fast expansion on the low ground, just like TY. Somehow the orbital is a little bit later. Anyways, he also decided to go for a fast 3rd command center, whereas TY is going to go into a much quicker starport. So far, though, yeah, it is allowing TY some more units, and this is actually going to be a little annoying right here for Maru. There will be a Cyclone popping out momentarily, so these units in red are going to have to run. But good start right here for TY. Yep, not bad at all. Killing one of his opponent's extra Reapers, and then immediately counterattacking and killing a bunch of SCVs. Now, these two, by the way, are no strangers when it comes to playing against one another. They once upon a time played a Grand Finals match over in China for the WESG. This was back in early 2017. It, at the time, was TY who ended up winning $200,000 in the Grand Finals, which is not bad at all. Maru, second place. Yeah, just a meager 100 grand. I know, it's really tough. Most recently, though, these two, at least as far as I remember, they played in a GSL Code S Grand Finals in 2020. At the time, it was once again TY that ended up winning, over Maru, of course, and this was back, yeah, Season 3, 2020, $25,000 first place prize for TY. So, TY, of course, historically very strong against Maru, at the very least in the matches where it counts. It seems like, yeah, TY has had Maru's number. Obviously, though, Maru has had his fair share of wins as well against TY, but yeah, the GSL Code S and the WESG, certainly a couple games right there that are gonna be in the back of Maru's mind. The thing is, TY is not quite in the same shape, comparatively, you know? Compared to where he was back then, at least. At least in my mind, I find that very hard to believe, because Maru is just at the top of his game right now. He always has been, and I haven't seen a lot of TY's matches. Historical results are nice, but current form is even more important. Now, this is all really good, though, for TY. Eventually, the Banshee over here will get sniped, but that's a 5 additional SCV kills. Banshee over in the natural expansion is going to be able to get, yeah, quite a few workers, too. As both players, by the way, are making a transition towards Terran mech. Let's go. We have an additional factory coming up on both sides of the map. The one right here for TY has already finished. So, mech versus mech. TY is going to try and mech it happen. Lowko, you're so funny. I'm going to hit the like button. Thank you, guys. Thank you for hitting the like button. I appreciate that. Second starport coming up as well for Maru, though. So this is what he ended up doing against Gumi. Not shooting his own siege tank, but this is what he ended up doing against Gumi too, where he decided to go essentially double factory and then more and more starports. So it was double factory, mass siege tank production for the most part, and then into just a ton of Vikings and a ton of battlecruisers. Bunch of Ravens too, actually. And it looked really good for Gumi until it didn't. Yeah, that's a bit of a theme in Maru's playstyle. It looks amazing until, yeah, it doesn't. Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. TY, by the way, this is one of my favorite esports stories. TY, born in the year 1994, currently 29 years old apparently. He became a professional gamer in 2006 when he joined a team called We Made Fox. Now, I don't really know exactly what that entailed, but you can do the math. Back in Brood War, back in the early days, he played under the ID of Baby, because he was literally, well, he was not literally a baby, but he was basically a baby, okay? Just a child, always incredibly good at the games, and, well, he's been carrying that onwards for quite a while. There's, by the way, the additional starports too right here for TY, so he is also going to be playing double factory into what seems to be triple starport. Alright, so the advantage of playing mass starport in this matchup is that they effectively enable your siege tanks to be more powerful. Now, this is going to be a little bit different right here for Maru, as he actually is planning on making what seems to be a bunch of Cyclones, or at the very least, he's considering it. He wants to make some more siege tanks for now, double armory coming up. When you have the air superiority, so when you have a load of Vikings, you can kill all of your opponent's Vikings, you can kill all of your opponent's, well, Ravens, and then also, of course, the Liberators. Liberators are really, really good against siege tanks. So when you have enough Vikings, it enables you to shut down your opponent's Liberators, and it also enables you to go into your own Liberators. This is, however, not Liberator play. Do we have a... No, if that was the case, we should have seen different add-ons right over here. We don't have a Fusion Core, though. Okay, nah, it's just gonna be Mass Raven. Okay. How boring. How pedestrian. Very common in TVT. I'm just looking out for the Fusion Cores, you know? I'm excited to see some battlecruisers flying around, but This is just going to be good old Mass Raven. Okay. Yep. 4th command center coming up. We have 2 CCs, though, on the production tab right here as well for TY, who's already securing the gases on the other side of the map, so he can definitely tell how this game is going to be played. Maru is more than happy to play that turtley style. It's something he's been doing for quite a while now, where he's just sitting back and he's absorbing every blow. There's the Fusion Core. Fusion Core, though, also played, of course, for Liberator Ranged. It's one of the upgrades inside of the Fusion Core, but it also does enable the production of battlecruisers. Okay, so this is a big macro match in the making right now. A big macro match where it seems to be Sky Terran versus Sky Terran. One thing to note is that you can go into Thors if you do fall behind when it comes to that air battle. But keep an eye out on the Viking numbers here. Obviously, anti-armor missiles are going to be thrown around too, but yeah, +1 air weapons already finishing up here for Maru, and there's a battlecruiser. Okay, so +1 air weapons and air weapon upgrades in general really matter for the big capital ships in StarCraft 2. Thinking of, in particular, carriers, but then also battlecruisers. Basically, the way that those upgrades work is that every single attack, every little tiny missile that you'll see shooting across the screen, they will all get +1 damage, and it adds up very rapidly. Now, here we go. Maru wants to break this position before all of the missile turrets are set up, and it looks like for now he's going to be okay. Then again, though, the Viking numbers, yeah, they are slightly in favor of TY. Obviously, he's a bit closer to home as well. He's got that missile turret set up, so Maru is forced to back off. So far, so good right here for TY. Happily expanding all over the map. He's going to go for the rich Kijkwijzer. Yamato Gundo, in the meantime, researching here on the other side of the map for Maru, who's securing the expansion here on the right side of the map as well. The main limiting resource is, of course, going to be gas. You really do need a ton of gas in order to make all of this run. Another starport coming up. Yep. TY, by the way, with a ton of money in the bank. Not quite maxed out yet. I'm a little surprised by that. We may just want to add on a little bit more production. Yeah, he's going Mass Raven. Obviously, you can disable your opponent's battlecruisers too. But that is a lot of Ravens. Yeah, he's going to go up to 7 Ravens, and he'll probably keep pumping them out here. I find myself always casting Terran versus Terrans that feature Maru, with Maru having an advantage. Like, this is a very obvious game where Maru is not ahead. But I'm still, I notice in myself, I'm still casting this like, but just, you know, just sit here and wait, because we know Maru is Maru. This is a massive advantage for TY. He's taking over the entire map. He's building missile turrets everywhere. He's capable of getting into great positions here because of those Ravens. You can't really engage this as Maru either because the Viking count is respectable. Okay, and the armor missiles are going to be thrown around. We do have some Yamato guns, but that's what I'm talking about, right? Interference matrix used on one of the BCs. Good target firing right there as well by TY. Yeah, taking a very good lead. Going to be able to kill that planetary fortress easy peasy. Well handled right there by TY. Okay. You can tell that TY, unlike me, is not intimidated by Maru. Nah, he's done this before. He knows what needs to be done. I actually think taking this rich Kijkwijzer up here would be really quite good. Oh, he's going for his own fusion core. He's gonna go for his own battlecruisers too. Additional starports coming up. Is this gonna be mass battlecruiser versus mass battlecruiser? Is that what we're gonna do? Because I am here for it, man. That makes the science fiction nerd in me very excited. Okay. Bring it on. I think he's going to do a transition a little later on into the game, though. Yeah, Maru... So the only thing that Maru really is very comfortable with here is the amount of upgrades he's got. So he's already got +3. The one thing, by the way, that TY has done is go all the way up to 99 SCVs. That is a lot of workers. Like, Maru has got a respectable SCV count, right? 87's not bad at all, but 99, I'm starting to wonder if that's a little too much. Obviously, though, that does mean that TY is going to get a ridiculous income. So look at the amount of minerals he's already got banked up. Maru just arriving at a maxed out state as well. But yeah, this is TY basically ready to trade out army and then well, replenish it as quickly as possible. He's got 7 starports. All of them seem to have... no, not all of them have tech labs. Like 5 of them... no, like 4 of them have tech labs. Actually, it's only 4. 3 of them have reactors. But he can very quickly remax with Vikings and battlecruisers if he so pleases. I think he's ready to give up a bunch of SCVs, though. Scans going down left, right, and center. And TY is creating a bit of a soft contain right here on Maru. This is all, by the way, you can trace all of this advantage back to him getting that 1 additional Reaper kill at like minute 3. That seems like a long time ago, but that's honestly where TY secured his advantage, and he's not really let go of it. Maru's been on the back foot ever since, but of course it's Maru, so don't count him out. Just don't count him out. Don't ever count Maru out. But he's got a medevac with 6 Marines in it, and he's going up against a maxed out Zerg. Guys, it's Maru. Like I said, don't count him out. Although this is starting to look really difficult, though. Anti-armor missile forcing the blue Terran right there to back off. We do have a mass battlecruiser jump here to get rid of 2 siege tanks. It looks intimidating. I mean, it was more intimidating, I guess, if these battlecruisers weren't covered in Dorito dust. TY firing up his own battlecruisers. Okay. Oh, Vikings, yeah, with their smart servos, they're going to be able to force a liftoff here. Yeah, you're going to have to relift it, but I guess if an auto turret drops, yeah, lovely, actually. You didn't need to do an auto turret. 1 Viking was still on the ground, preventing that orbital command from landing again. And even though the Viking is going to have to pay the price here, that was still a wonderful little exchange for TY. Once again, going in his favor. Okay. Maru, though, has got a bit of a bank himself, too. Another command center actually is in some trouble, though. Yeah, that one's gonna get killed really quickly. The only thing that TY doesn't have is +3 upgrades, but obviously that lead that Maru has in the upgrades, I don't think he's gonna do much about it. I don't think he's gonna do much with it, because he can't really push very easily. He's gonna have another minute and a half or so, though, maybe 2 minutes, where he is gonna have that advantage. TY, pretending to be a Zerg player, is building spore crawlers all over the map. We have SCVs fighting SCVs and actually getting a lot of kills in, too. Battlecruiser army trying to find a bit of an angle. There's a Viking of... no, not a Viking of flowers. A flower of Vikings set up over there. Anti-armor missile once again, though, making it difficult for Maru to move in, but he's thinking about it. Okay. We have 5 battlecruisers as well for TY. I don't think Maru has seen them yet, though. But they are, yeah, very close by. Oh, wow. Missile turrets actually end up getting a kill. Interesting. They end up getting a kill right there on the command center. It's the first time I've ever seen that. Okay, here we go. Big air battles. Yamato guns are going down left, right, and center. I'm going to be switching, yeah, there you go, to the unit tab in the top left-hand corner. Apparently I was already there, as Maru actually does have the superior Viking numbers. Anti-armor missile, though, not really doing him a lot of favor here, as his units were taking a lot of additional damage. But then again, with full upgrades, it can look very difficult. And just like that, Maru does win the fight. Reinforcing battlecruisers are showing up. Immediately, Thors are starting to be produced right here as well, because TY can feel that these blue Vikings are thinking about camping the starports. Right, and if they can kill the units that pop out of the starports as soon as they spawn, life does become a lot more manageable. Okay, good bit of damage being done here too. Orbital command going down, and this is what I'm talking about. Fresh starport units get sniped immediately. Another battlecruiser is going to show up right here for Maru. Dude, how does Maru do this? Seriously. I don't know if this is a game-winning advantage for him necessarily, but he was really far behind. The main thing, though, is that, of course, he's had that upgrade lead. Right now, the ship weapons level 3 is going to finish up here for TY, but he's already lost so many troops. Yamato guns going down once more, or Yamato cannons, I should say. I was already talking about Brute War earlier, but there we go. Maru is getting on top of his opponent's production, and it looks to me like he may actually be able to clear out a lot more units. Okay, a lot more gas lost right here for TY. That is the main difference. Fight over here at the front does continue. All of those missile turrets are making it difficult to advance, but suddenly, Maru is finding himself with a supply lead. Insane, actually. Like, Maru's TVT is actually ridiculous. When you see those clumped up Vikings, right? There's a couple reasons why pro gamers do that. Main one, though, being that it's pretty much impossible for the opponent to gauge how many Vikings there actually are. So when you clump up all your Vikings in one big ball, how in the world can Maru know that there's like 4 more Vikings in his advantage? Very difficult. I think he realized, though, that he had the upgrade lead, so you can click on your opponent's units and see how many upgrades they had. And he must have realized, okay, you're about a minute, maybe 2 minutes behind on my upgrades. I'm gonna try and use that one specific timing window to get back into the swing of things, and that's exactly what he's managed to achieve. Okay. Now TY is making the transition towards more air units, but also a whole lot of ground. So he's starting to mix in a bunch of Thors. Thors do have to be in their high impact mode, don't they? Yeah. So 2 of them still, yeah, there we go. They have to be in their high impact mode, which allows them much better single target damage and also additional range. TY's mining, though, is still looking pretty good. But yeah, this is really what seems to be one of the first times in this match that Maru has got an economical advantage. Actually wild. Like, TY was sitting at over 100, like, I think he was over 100 workers at some point. Well, at the very least, he was very close to it. Oh, good bit of splash damage, though. Careful, Maru. Those Javelin missiles don't mess around. This actually could be an opportunity for Maru. But TY knows that a lot of those units are already low in hit points. And honestly, it could also be a bit of a disaster right here for Maru, who's trying to move around his units. Vikings do land on the ground to try and mitigate some of that splash. The thing is, a lot of those Vikings were already low in hit points before this fight began. So those few Javelin missiles really helping out. I love that missile turret there too, by the way, preventing the camping of all those additional troops. Okay, yeah, I think that was an overextension from Maru. Those couple of Thors that we saw walking out of the main base, they put in a lot of work, softening up a lot of those Vikings. And even though Maru did technically have a supply lead at that point, I don't think that fight was nearly as good as he was hoping for. You can see that right over here in the army size graph. He was always ahead in that department. TY obviously made it look pretty close in that section, but now it's TY who grabbed a lead once again. Okay. Maru has smashed his piggy bank. And it's gonna allow him a bunch more battlecruisers and a bunch more, well, cyclones apparently. Cyclones, of course, when they get in, they can deal a lot of damage. Absolute glass cannons. I love the additions right here of the Ravens too. I think Ravens are very handy. The anti-armor missile just simply enabling those units that are covered in orange to, well, take more damage, right? And it's a pretty significant debuff. TY also hasn't lost that many of his command centers, has he? So he's killed, yeah, he's lost 2, but he's killed 5 CCs of the opponent, which really does add up. These missile turrets now out for blood. They're thinking about killing another command center if they can. It's not gonna happen this time around, but once a missile turret smells blood once, you know what happens. They can never be trusted again. Rocks in the middle of the map also in a bit of trouble. I would love to see TY, by the way, fire up the +3 for those mechanical units that he's got on the ground. Okay, there's another big anti-armor missile. Yamato cannons are going off once again, though, but the interference matrices do prevent that from actually happening. TY finds an opportunity and immediately grabs it with both hands. Now he's ready to go in for the counterattack. Lovely stuff, man. I think TY is actually doing it. It's not over yet, though. He's got a lot of money in the bank. He really needs to go ahead and spend it. But his Viking count is substantially bigger right now than Maru's. Still, though, he's got no easy counter against those few Cyclones on the ground. A Mizraeli Thor is also not going to do him any favors. TY going full into what seems to be Sky Terran again with maybe a siege tank or 2. But loads of SCVs were killed. Yeah, these 2 Vikings over here had a grand old time, shutting down a lot of that income. Command centers flying on over towards the top left-hand corner. TY does see this coming in from a mile away. Maru's scanning around the map, trying to figure out where that mechanical army from TY is currently located. And apparently, he is once again hunting a command center. And there's no way you're going to be able to out-repair that. As a matter of fact, those SCVs are just bait. Is this a little too greedy, though? Because now TY may find himself cornered. Maru getting into a position where he might be able to get rid of all of those Vikings in red. They have to find an angle to try and go back home. Okay, looks like they have found it. Those missile turrets really being an absolute thorn in Maru's side, making it difficult. Ooh, look at those battlecruisers kissing. I feel like I'm intruding on something. Jeez. Those missile turrets, though, so annoying for Maru, making it difficult for his Vikings and his air army to really get around. Okay. I actually think the missile turret guys. Yeah, the missile turret guys may have been the MVPs. 18 of them have gone down. Makes it difficult. There is, by the way, a dude in the missile turret. I've shown this dozens of times already, but in case you haven't seen it before, because for some reason you don't watch every single one of my videos, there's a dude sitting right there inside of the missile turret. Anyways, 24 SCVs ended up going down, but honestly, I think we should stop making workers here, man. Dude, they're still making workers, even though we're barely having mineral fields remaining to mine from. Actually, such a crazy game. "22 battlecruisers killed." Wow. Do you reckon we can get a, I wonder if we can go up to 50 battlecruisers in one game. That's actually insane. Considering we rarely see battlecruisers, this is so much damage going around the map. TY, though, has got firm control, but the one thing I don't like right here for the red Terran is that he doesn't have enough gas. So gas really is going to be the limiting criterion. Like, what do you drop minerals on, right? When you're playing against Sky Terran. Yeah, you can make Marines, I guess, but they're not upgraded, so I don't think you can really make that transition very easily. It might be better, though, than making Hellions. The Hellions, I guess, could be like bait for the siege tanks, but that's really about it. I guess you are better off dropping your minerals on those missile turrets because they don't cost any gas. So even though this is a very significant bank advantage right here for TY, what are you going to spend your 2.2k minerals on? Gas really is the main issue. Once again, though, battlecruisers flying on over towards the natural expansion. TY is going to be able to kill another orbital command. Obviously, those battlecruisers will have tactical jump available. A bunch of Hellbats here trying to be just a nuisance. SCVs now sacrifice themselves too. I think you guys need to go. And that's exactly what they do. They jump on over towards that base over in the bottom right. This is one of the last mining bases right here for Maru. Oh my god, we're just gonna Yamato gun the command center! Well, mass SCV repair apparently does keep it alive. Just barely. But you know what? That may have been a cool shot for the video thumbnail. A lot of Vikings once again land. Vikings are played like Marines in this particular series, man. So many of them have died. Okay. Ultimately, I think TY is bringing home the win. Yeah. He's had to fight for it, though. It is obvious here that Maru is a very tough nut to crack. Just ridiculously good at seizing momentum when he notices an opportunity. Even when playing from behind, Maru still has this, like, aura of confidence, right? I don't know how he does it. Because it really looked like he was able to come back, and I think he actually did. I think he actually did come back, but then, well, TY managed to get that really nice engagement in, as TY, by the way, is now trying to steal one of the bases from the opponent. Planetary Fortress is not going to happen for now. Base on the bottom right-hand corner from Maru once again gets scouted, but here come the battlecruisers. Are we gonna Yamato cannon the command center another time? I think this time around they brought a friend. I think that was one less previously. Okay, command center here for TY is also gonna go down. Ultimately, though, TY's army is just much bigger. We're talking 130 supply versus 97. I also think that TY's income here is just nicer, especially when he gets this base once again going. And oh my god, he actually just did a big jump towards the northern section of the map. This may be the final engagement of the game as both players are cruising through the opponent's army. But ultimately, it's TY who obtains the victory in an absolute banger of a Terran versus Terran. Alrighty, game number 3. It will take place on a map called Ghost River. It's going to be a double barracks over here from Maru, with one of them on the other side of the map. This is, of course, a map with a very quick rush distance as it is. So Maru could have just built 2 barracks at home, but he may have spotted a weakness in TY's early game. Or maybe he just feels like this is the build that he needs to be going for if he wants to win the series. Either way, luckily here for TY, it is a double gas opener for him. I mean, you'd be kind of crazy on Ghost River to go straight for a low ground expansion. At least it does mean that he should be able to go for both Reapers as well as a factory into a Hellion, which is usually very critical against these sort of builds right here from Maru. Maru is going to be able to go for a command center on the low ground eventually, but I was going to say, you won't have the resources for it just yet. Okay, quite a committed opener right here, though. Quite a committed opener right here for Maru. Factory indeed coming up right now for TY. He'll probably be going for a command center on the low ground in a moment too. So he's not mining a ton of gas at this point, just trying to maximize the minerals. Alright, let's see. I mean, if you're gonna win a game against Maru, I kind of figured it would be in a game exactly like the one that is, you know, unwrapping itself right here in front of us right now. I didn't quite expect that to be the case in a long, drawn-out macro match, but I guess here we are. I feel like this is an opportunity where TY can actually obtain the victory too. It can absolutely happen. Pleasantly surprised right here by TY. Okay, so he's canceling the command center on the low ground, of course. Hellion will be popping out. This is all good. This is fine. Command center starts back up inside of the main base. Factory is going to finish also here for Maru eventually, but he's really forced to deal some sort of damage here with this push that he's gone for, and it's so much harder against a Terran player who's stuck behind this wall. Yeah, he's controlling the jump up locations. It's quite difficult here for Maru really to find that angle. Oh my god. TY may actually be able to do this. Historically, it's not very surprising, just to clarify, because TY is an absolute legend, but it's just that we haven't seen a lot of TY's games. And Maru is Maru, you know? I would say he's probably like maybe like a 10-1 favorite going into this series for most people. I have no idea if those are the actual odds, but... Oh, triple CC2 for TY. Ah, that is bold. Okay, there will be a command center eventually. The thing is, he has no idea about the other side of the map. He doesn't even know if Maru spawned in the top right, although I think that's a pretty safe assumption. Don't lose this Cyclone, dude. Oh, triple CC into losing a Cyclone is... Oh, no, that's not it. That is not it. Loses the Hellion as well as the Cyclone. Now suddenly this becomes a bit of a disaster. TY, of course, can lose a bunch of economy and still be fine, because those orbital commands are going to bring him a ton of income, but I think he can just jump. Yeah, he's going to go straight into the main base, exactly. Killing a bunch of your opponent's units like that is massive. Marines are in a world of trouble. Command center number 3 is not going to finish. Knock, knock, who's there? It's Maru. He wants to get the Hellion in too. The Hellion, though, is able to apparently shoot across all of this. Eventually, a siege tank just does pop out of the factory, so I guess that's something. Ah, yeah, I don't know why you wanted to go after that barracks. That barracks clearly was bait. It was headed for the main base too, so there really wasn't a reason to try and get greedy. Okay. Tempo now heavily in favor of Maru, especially since that third command center is still not restarted. Yeah, now we're gonna finally do that again. Problem is, this third command center is positioned in such a location where the Reapers and the Hellions can probably just hit it from the low ground. Yeah, exactly. I think he could actually target the SCV down. I don't know why we didn't build it in a, well, less exposed location. Maybe a bit of a misread right there from TY, assuming that his opponent was gonna continue the aggression. Lovely drop here. Or not continue the aggression to the same extent. Lovely drop right there by Maru. Great micro. Shuts down the siege tank. There's a minimum fire range, of course, for the tanks. When they are sieged up, they can't just fire all the time, but if you exactly hug the units... Oh, beautiful pickup there as well. Second, well, siege tank, at least in the current battle. He's gonna get it. Ay, 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 ay. Brilliant stuff right there by Maru. Alright, well, maybe game number 2 didn't really go Maru's way. Couple of minor mistakes, really. that ultimately do have very significant results. Obviously, he was in a tough position that entire game long. But he's not looking to repeat the mistake over here. GG is called. It's Maru who obtains the victory 2-1. Hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, make sure you hit the like button down below. It really does help. And if you want to see more, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Now, if you really enjoyed the video, you can join these absolute legends that are scrolling across your screen right now. Massive shout out to the Patreon supporters for all of their financial support. For now, though, have a great rest of your day. Don't forget to smile. Thank you for watching. And I hope to see you once again tomorrow for another video.